In life, some friends stay by our side, even in the darkest of times. Sarah, a 26-year-old girl who was born deaf and mute, never expected that she would find such a loyal friend. Someone who was not only a protector, but also an invaluable source of encouragement. Max, the canine dog left to her by her father before he passed away, was not just a companion in peaceful moments, but also a hero in times of crisis. Let's explore the story of a wordless friendship, where sacrifice and loyalty create a profound lesson about unconditional love. On a late afternoon, as the sunset began to cast its golden glow over the quiet neighborhood, Sarah, a 26-year-old deaf and mute girl, was heading home after a long day at work. Her footsteps echoed steadily along the familiar path, but no one could hear them except her. Every day, Sarah faced the outside world, without being able to communicate like others, and a quiet loneliness clung to her. She couldn't share her emotions, couldn't fully understand what was going on around her, and sometimes she felt like a shadow in this world. However, Sarah found great comfort in her silent world, a canine dog named Max. Max was not just an ordinary dog. He was the last gift her father left her before he passed away. Every day when night fell, Sarah and Max would walk together around the park near their home. Even though he couldn't hear Sarah's sounds, Max always understood her gestures and the slightest changes in her mood. This loyal dog was her only friend, always protecting and comforting her in her most challenging moments. Sarah felt lonely every day, unable to communicate easily with others, but Max never let her feel isolated. Every time she looked into Max's deep eyes, she saw a silent understanding, a bond that didn't need words. Max was everything to her, her loyal friend, her irreplaceable companion in both peaceful and challenging times. One day, as the evening shadows lengthened and the atmosphere was calm, Sarah felt strange, as if something was about to happen. She and Max continued to walk their steps light in the breeze. Suddenly, a powerful wave of dizziness hit, causing her to lose her balance. Before she could realize it, Sarah's legs gave way, and she fell to the ground, her vision fading and her body starting to numb. Max knew something was wrong, though he couldn't hear Sarah's cries for help. Max saw her fall, and his eyes immediately became alert. The dog didn't need any reminder. He knew Sarah was in danger. Max stood nearby, watching her every movement, and realized that Sarah's condition was serious. Though he couldn't talk or signal in the way humans do, Max sensed everything. He sensed the weakness and the fear in Sarah's breath. At that moment, a sense of desperation flooded Sarah's heart. She felt the loneliness deepen as there was no one around, but Max did not abandon her. He didn't need to hear Sarah's calls for help. The silence around them was enough for Max to understand that he was the only one who could help her. And in that moment, everything seemed to slow down. But no one other than Max could come to her aid. Max is a German Shepherd, strong and incredibly intelligent, specially trained to serve in search and rescue missions. Throughout his years of service, Max has participated in countless essential tasks, from searching for victims in the rubble after disasters to assisting in dangerous situations. Max is not just a professional dog, but a silent warrior, always ready to sacrifice himself to protect and help those in need. After Sarah's father passed away, Max was left to her as a final gift filled with love and care. Sarah's father, a strict yet loving man, knew that only Max could care for and protect her in the years to come. Even though Sarah was born deaf and mute, Max was always her great comfort and an irreplaceable companion. With Max, Sarah never felt abandoned or lonely. Max is a protector and an amazing friend, always by Sarah's side whenever she needs comfort. Though Sarah could not hear Max's calls or experience the usual communication between humans and animals through the dog's subtle gestures, she understood that Max was always ready to help and love her unconditionally. Max understood every little gesture of Sarah, from the way she waved her hand to how she looked into his eyes with love and gratitude. The relationship between Sarah and Max is beyond words. To Sarah, Max is not just a protector, but an essential part of her life. Max had been Sarah's companion since she was very young, and they shared countless moments, though they couldn't communicate like normal people. Sarah and Max strangely understood each other. Max would run to Sarah's bed every morning to greet her with bright eyes and a loving tail wag. Whenever Sarah felt tired or sad, Max would automatically come lie beside her, offering silent encouragement. On quiet evenings, Sarah and Max would sit in the empty room, and just by looking into each other's eyes, they could understand everything that needed to be said. Sarah didn't need to speak, because Max understood her feelings through the smallest gestures. The dog would lie under her feet, resting its head on her legs when she sat on the armchair. He was the only friend who made her feel not alone, who gave her a sense of security, even in a world full of challenges and difficulties. In a world where she could not receive the sounds or images around her, Max was Sarah's ears and eyes, but with Max, Sarah never lacked love and protection. This dog not only helped in times of danger, but also stood as a silent friend, always present in every moment of her life, from the footsteps every morning to the nights she felt lonely and anxious. Between them, there were no barriers, only pure friendship and unwavering loyalty demonstrated through every action, every glance, and every warm presence of Max. The cold wind still blew through the empty streets, but for Sarah, everything now was only the terrifying silence. Overwhelming dizziness suddenly hit her as she walked with Max in the park near her house. Her vision blurred, and her body grew weak and lifeless. Sarah collapsed to the ground, unable to stand. Blood no longer appropriately circulated, and waves of pain surged through her body, forcing her to lie still, struggling to breathe, as though her heart was slowly drifting away from her body. Although unable to hear the sounds around or sense what was happening in the environment, Max recognized the shift in the air. The silence of Sarah and the changes in her breathing immediately made Max realize that something was wrong. He rushed to her side hurriedly, using his body to support her as if saying, "Everything will be all right." But Sarah couldn't move. Her body lacked the strength to hold itself up. Max couldn't speak, but through his eyes and gestures, he understood this was not the time to hesitate. The dog felt his owner's distress and knew she was in danger. Max didn't give up, although he couldn't do anything other than be by her side. He saw Sarah's weakness and helplessness, and an unwavering determination began to form in his heart. Although he couldn't speak or signal like humans, Max knew that Sarah would be in danger if he didn't act immediately. The dog quickly stepped back, looked around once more, and then took off. Max started running around the neighborhood searching for help, knowing it was something he couldn't do alone. He didn't think about his fatigue or his strength. There was only one thing on his mind: to help Sarah, to save her at any cost. Max rushed to the front door, using his claws and nose to scratch at the door, creating noises that echoed outside. The dog persistently kept at it, scratching hard on the door as if to convey a message: save her. The entire neighborhood was silent, and no one knew that my life was being threatened. In this darkness, Max didn't think of himself. He only knew that Sarah was lying there, unable to find a way out on her own. At that moment, there was no one around, no one to hear the cries for help. Sarah only had Max, and Max was everything. But Max didn't stop trying. Every time he scratched the door, hope rose again. The dog didn't give up, didn't turn back. That was the strength of loyalty, the love Max had for Sarah. Max wasn't afraid of exhaustion, wasn't hesitant to endure hardship. He only knew one thing: to protect and save his only friend. Max's relentless barking finally caught the attention of a passerby. It was Mr. Paul, a neighbor living nearby, and also a retired police officer, someone Sarah knew well. Mr. Paul, a tall man with the sharp eyes of one who had been through many dangerous situations in the past, was strolling near the parking area when he heard the strong barking from Sarah and Max. As a retired police officer, Mr. Paul immediately recognized that something was wrong and that the situation could be very serious. He rushed toward the direction of the barking, and as he approached, he found Sarah lying motionless on the ground, her body stiff, her face pale, and her breathing shallow. Max stood by her side, his eyes full of concern and determination, constantly watching Mr. Paul as if pleading for help. It didn't take Mr. Paul long to realize the danger. Sarah had fainted and could be in a state of severe hypothermia. Using the skills he had accumulated during his time as a police officer, Mr. Paul quickly called for an ambulance and began to perform first aid on Sarah. Sensing the seriousness of the situation, he didn't waste any time stabilizing Sarah and trying to keep her conscious. Less than a few minutes later, the rescue team arrived. They quickly lifted Sarah onto a stretcher and prepared to transport her to the ambulance. While the rescue team worked, Max remained by Sarah's side, never taking his eyes off her. Despite being exhausted and drained from his relentless efforts, the dog stayed in position as if he couldn't let his girl go without protection. His eyes stayed fixed on the ambulance as it prepared to leave, as if wanting to make sure that Sarah would be saved. Those who witnessed the event couldn't help but be moved by Max's unconditional loyalty. The rescue workers couldn't hide their amazement and emotion. One of the paramedics turned to look at Max and thanked the dog for helping them recognize the critical situation. Without Max, it might have taken us much longer to realize how serious Sarah's condition was. This dog is the silent hero. Another member of the rescue team even crouched down and patted Max as a way of thanking him for what he had done. Max only wagged his tail gently, as if understanding that his mission had been completed. But in his heart, the protection was never over. The dog was always ready to do whatever it could to protect the one friend he loved. The rescue team quickly transported Sarah to the hospital. But throughout the journey, Max stayed outside, following every step of the ambulance, making sure that Sarah would be saved. This wasn't just an act of saving a life, but also a strong reminder of the genuine friendship and unconditional loyalty between humans and dogs. After receiving timely medical attention and being admitted to the hospital, Sarah began to slowly recover. During her days in the hospital, Max's presence became an invaluable source of support for her. Although she couldn't speak or hear, Max had a special ability. He understood Sarah's silent emotions, the gentle gestures she directed toward him. In the days following the emergency, Sarah felt lonelier than ever. The feelings of worry and unease weighed heavily on her, but Max was there by her side, never leaving her for a moment. Every morning, Max would come to the hospital, sit by Sarah's bed, and look at her with his bright eyes, as if saying, "Everything will be okay. I am here." Even though he couldn't communicate with words, Max expressed his care through actions, making Sarah feel that nothing could separate them, and that she would never have to endure loneliness again. The dog wasn't just a protector, but a true companion, an invaluable friend that she never imagined she could have in her life. Sarah's recovery wasn't easy. Her body was weak, but her spirit was lifted by Max's presence. The dog never left her side, not for a second. Max always sat beside her when she read books or simply needed some comfort. Even though the first days of recovery were difficult, Sarah felt herself growing stronger every time Max was by her side. One day, while Sarah was relearning how to walk after her hospital stay, Max quietly walked beside her, not fast, not in a hurry, just with a steady pace, as if saying, "I will help you through everything." Every time Sarah felt exhausted, and wanted to give up, Max's steadfast gaze would give her strength, making it impossible for her to quit. The bond between them grew stronger. Sarah not only felt Max's unwavering loyalty, but she also understood that this dog was the one companion she could never live without, in every step, in every challenge. Max was always the one she could trust. Sarah had never felt so loved, not through words, but through the silent actions full of love and loyalty from Max. Those moments made her realize that no matter how hard life got, the friendship between her and Max was priceless, and it was the reason she would never feel alone. Day by day, Sarah no longer felt weak or lonely. She had found an endless source of support in Max's presence, and Max, the canine dog her father had left behind, proved that the friendship between humans and dogs can overcome any challenge. He wasn't just a protector, but a loyal companion ready to sacrifice to protect her in every situation. Together, they built a strong relationship that could not be broken. After all the hardships Sarah had gone through, she realized that Max had helped her return to life, showing her that nothing was impossible to overcome when there was love and sincere loyalty by her side. The story of Sarah and Max wasn't just about rescue. It was a profound lesson in loyalty, sacrifice, and unconditional friendship between humans and animals. Max, the loyal canine dog, had not only protected Sarah, but also became an invisible source of strength that helped her get through the painful and desperate moments. Max's presence in Sarah's life changed everything. No longer just a guard dog, Max had become the companion, the close friend Sarah could rely on through difficult days. The first lesson this story imparts is Max's absolute loyalty. Although he couldn't hear Sarah's calls for help or understand her worries through her words, Max always understood exactly what she needed. What she felt. Max's loyalty wasn't just about protecting Sarah in a dangerous situation, but also about his presence in every ordinary moment of her life. Every step, every loving gesture, every time Max stood by Sarah demonstrated his determination and his unwavering commitment. In Sarah's eyes, Max was not just a dog, but an irreplaceable part of her life. This story also conveys another important message: unconditional sacrifice. Max never thought about himself, nor did he worry about his own safety. He only knew what needed to be done to protect the one friend he loved. In a critical moment when Sarah couldn't help herself, Max didn't hesitate to act, even if it meant facing danger. The dog didn't care about his own exhaustion or fatigue. He simply did what needed to be done, protecting and saving Sarah. This act of sacrifice is deeply human, showing the profound nature of animals that we often see as loyal companions. Furthermore, this story also teaches a lesson about the importance of friendship and companionship. Sarah, a 26-year-old girl who is both deaf and mute from birth, has faced many challenges in life. But since Max has been by her side, she no longer feels alone. Although she cannot communicate through words, Max has become the only friend who can understand her and be with her. Their relationship doesn't require words, nor does it need expression. It only requires action, presence, and love. The friendship between Sarah and Max in this story proves that sometimes true friendship doesn't need words or exchanges, but only understanding and unconditional love. Finally, this story reminds us of the value of cherishing relationships, whether with humans or animals. Dogs like Max are not just pets, but loyal friends, tireless protectors, always ready to sacrifice for us. The love and loyalty that Max gave to Sarah are not things we can easily find in life. It is a precious gift that each of us should appreciate. With Max's help, Sarah found the strength to continue her life, to overcome every challenge and hardship. This dog didn't just save her, but brought her faith, hope, and a friendship that would never fade. These moments, these lessons will forever remain in Sarah's heart and in the hearts of everyone who witnessed this deeply touching story.